I think the All-Star game in general needs a little revamping because it used to be competitive.
Yeah.
It used to be competitive. And fans want to see the best pickup game in the world. That's what this is. They don't want to see you running up and down and dunking and doing all this crazy. They want to see what happens when you get this collection of best basketball players on the planet and they play and they go head up against each other.
Man.
I mean, you guys play harder at a pickup game in UCLA.
For real.
And ain't billions of people watching.
For real.
Definitely do.
You know what I'm saying?
Definitely do.
They got to turn
the
it up.
All-Star game needs a little changing. I always love competing in them. I didn't lose many of them.
Nah,
me and CP used to talk all the time.
You took it serious.
Yeah, we went in. I don't think me and CP, when we played together in the All-Star game, I don't think we've ever lost a game.
Yeah.
And we used to look at each other and say, okay.
Going serious. They don't want to play, we going to play.
Fourth quarter, let's go get them.
Okay, so we got the numbers back from All-Star Game, and Kobe was alluding to the fact that he was very competitive. He talked about him and CP, which he was referencing Chris Paul. When they got to the All-Star Game, they were trying to win. They wanted to see who's the best of the best, what groups can work the best together. It was a different vibe. It was a different time. Now, fast forward to today's NBA All-Star Game. We know that it's a different type of energy. We understand that we were used to a lot of times in the fourth quarter, that's when you would start to see the competitive juices flowing. We knew that the first three quarters, it was just pretty much going to be a highlight reel, layup drill, dunk drill. We knew that a 3-point contest, all in one in the All-Star game. We understood that. But now it's gotten to the point that even the fourth quarter, we were all kind of waiting on that moment where everyone kicks in, everyone gets competitive, and everyone turns up. And it never really happened this All-Star game, which started a wide debate. Another problem is that injuries. And injuries are a part of the game, but your two team captains in Team Giannis and Team LeBron both sustained injuries or had injuries coming into All-Star game, and so they couldn't play as much as I'm sure they would have liked to. So now you got two captains that aren't necessarily available. You have a game that, yes, there's pride on the line in a sense of there's donations being given out to each quarter which team wins, but there's not a competitive factor in the All-Star game anymore. Now, let me preface that with saying that the All-Star game for football, so the NFL All-Star Pro Bowl was the same way. They've made it into a flag football game. They try to play games and do different things to make sure that the game has a little bit more excitement. So I'm saying that because this is not just an NBA problem. I've heard baseball has the same problem. I've also heard the NHL is trying to figure out ways to make the All-Star game more entertaining to the fans, make it better all around. Here's the numbers that support this for the NBA that maybe they should start thinking about ways to be creative as well. So the numbers came out, and on Sunday's NBA All-Star Game was the lowest rated and least watched edition of the game. The ratings declined 29% and viewership 27% from last year's All-Star Game. The record low audience places the NBA All-Star Game well behind this year's NFL Pro Bowl. So just to kind of give you guys some numbers, as we're not just talking now about, oh, they need to do something. Now, once you start to get the numbers, the NBA is going to start to think about what can they do. This weekend's NBA All-Star Game averaged 4.59 million viewers across TNT and TBS. The previous lows were around 6 million viewers. So the previous low before had 6 million viewers, and now across TBS and TNT, we're at about 4.5 million viewers. So what can we do is the question. We've heard so many conversations about what can we do about the dunk contest and what can we do about the other events, the skills competition. Well, we know one event that doesn't need to change, that's fine, is the 3-point challenge. That will never be a problem. There will always want to be players that want to shoot. It will always be exciting watching players shoot to see who's the best of the best in that. So the 3-point challenge, it's all right. Now, I saw some mixed reviews, but I actually enjoyed how Team LeBron and Team Giannis picked their teams. They had their notepads out. It was a whole selection process. And the reason I liked it is because for players, there's a pecking order. There's a pride. Damian Lillard went the number 1 overall pick. That's a big deal because you start to see how the players respect other players. You can start to see, I understand, and let me just say, yes, I understand that players like the Joker said, the All-Star game is not for me. He said, I'm not the type of player that's going to be in the All-Star game. So I understand that there's that caveat. But then there's also, when you're talking about guards, there's a pecking order that starts to happen on who's LeBron going to pick next? Who's Giannis going to pick next? This is interesting who got left on the board. So I personally liked, Ernie was the one hosting it. I personally like that part of the All-Star game, that tweak. So that part's not a problem, but where do we go from here? How do we figure out that competitiveness for future All-Star games? I don't know. Now, I've heard different situations. I've heard that, it's not fun anymore because players play 82 games. And Steve Kerr went on record saying, I think that 72 games would be better so that players would have less injuries. And maybe those less injuries would result in players wanting to be more involved in the All-Star game. We understand that All-Stars matter. If All-Stars didn't matter, players wouldn't be mad about getting snubbed on All-Star games. And why do they matter? Just for the people that don't understand. Well, when you retire and you start to talk about a player's legacy, you start to list their accolades. How many championships? How many all first team NBA? How many All-Star appearances? Those things are how you start to choose who is the best of the best of the best, or whose legacy matters. And so for the people that may go, who cares about All-Star don't play? It matters. And then when you come to, well, what can the NBA do? What I thought about was Vince Carter recently talked about how the NBA has tried to interfere in a sense of making the dunk contest better. He stated that there's been times where they've tried to incentivize it, offering $1 million to people to join the dunk contest, like a Vince Carter, because we know that if Vince Carter's in the dunk contest, we're going to see a show. Now, shouts to Mac McClung because he became a big topic of the conversation in the sense of he's a G League player that is exceptional at dunking. I want to make sure I say that. He did an amazing job. That's not the problem. I think the concern that people are having is that, yes, he can be in the dunk contest, but they also want to see NBA stars in the dunk contest as well. Zion Williamson stated that he'll probably join the dunk contest next year. This year, he's been hurt, and he didn't feel like it was a good idea to join it this year. So we do understand that some may join the dunk contest and other things, but where do we go from here? Look, I don't have the solutions, but I just wanted to provide all the information so that fans can understand that we understand the problem, and fans are voicing their opinion that there's a problem because of the viewership is going down tremendously. So my thoughts are, for the NBA All-Star Game, you got to start getting creative. The same way broadcasts are getting creative and having alternate broadcasts. You see the Manning cast, and you see what Charles Barkley, Shaq, and Kenny did on TBS. Those are alternate broadcasts where it's not just about the sport. There's some fun aspect to it. There's conversations to it. Well, maybe we have to start to figure those type of things out in All-Star games, a la the Pro Bowl and flag football. Maybe we have to switch it up a little bit. I don't know the solution, but right now, something has to change.